Alright, I didn't know that weed was legal in Japan, but somebody at Konami has been on that good stuff, because who the hell asked for this? Who wanted Duelist Cup, but with an even worse, even more restrictive ban list, and a 72-hour grind for Stage 2 in an Xyz event? First of all, Xyz event, you know, Konami, get some new material. This is like the 5th time you've got a fucking Xyz event. Jesus Christ. Okay, so, and the rewards, okay, rewards, gems up to D level 19. It means they're locking gems from this festival. It's not a festival, this is a fucking Duelist Cup. They're locking gems behind a competitive event with D ranking. So, good luck with that. Also, second stage rewards. You know, these would be cool rewards, right? There's actually rewards like its icon frame and stuff like that that aren't just a random useless title that nobody's gonna see. But they lock it behind. Oh yeah, you just get top 100. Just get top 100 stage 2 in a Duelist Cup event, and you can get this cool unique. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to let's go over some of the. Sorry, man. I had to get that off my chest. But let's go over some of the best decks for this event. And here's another reason why this event is gonna suck, just independent of the Duelist Cup format. Here's the best deck. Okay, it's Purrely. Who is not sick of seeing this deck? Like, again, for some reason, every single Duelist Cup type event, Purrely has just been a top 3 minimum, usually a top 1 deck. I don't understand that. Like, this is, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of this. So I hope I don't have to explain too much, because it's fucking Purrely. Like, the deck just honestly kind of builds itself 90% of the way. There's like other choices you can make. You can play the Ghost Trick engine, because the Ghost Trick engine is all Xyz, and it's all legal too. I mean, I don't have the UR for it. I ain't crafting Ghost Tricks to play in a fucking Duelist Cup event with fucking Purrely, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna explain like the actual Purrely cards, because you're literally just maxing out on all the good copies that you have. Yeah, the Purrely hit from 3 to 2. Definitely gonna make a difference, bro. It's totally not gonna matter more than like 1 out of every 20 games. But yeah, and you gotta play Street, because I think Street is still really good, especially if you play in like the mirror match, and like if you assume people are gonna be playing hand traps. Maybe if you assume people on board breaker, Street might not be as necessary. This is sort of a build that's meant to like turbo out Street and get Street. You notice I'm running triple Rainbow Bridge of Salvation as the discard engine, since we don't have Black Goat Laughs, so I assume getting Street to protect you from Imperm and Valor's turn 1 is really nice. This is the Cobalt Eagle. This is the one you run because this is the only one where if you draw it, you can just normal summon it and put it back in the deck, and it's all Gucci. It's not like you really need your normal summon for anything, nor would you really even want to normal summon your Purrely cats when you rather just special them with Street protection. And Prosperity also basically just to get Street, because Imperm is like the one, Imperm and Valor are like the hand traps on your Purrely that hurt the most and have the highest potential to end your turn, which is why I still think Street is good, so that way you get the most protection, you put your play through the most. Crossout is like not even really used for Max E, to be honest. It's more often going to be used for Imperm, but also because Purrely is going to be played a shit ton, this is just the Solemn Judgment in the mirror match. You can cross out any quick play spell, you can cross out either cat. If you still have these in deck, like honestly, I might consider like just not going ham and just keeping one in deck so that you can have one to cross out for cross out. But yeah, also keep in mind, people might be playing board breakers, and Herald of the Abyss might see play, so that's another reason to keep extra Purrely's in deck. That way you can play around Herald of the Abyss pretty easily by having just an additional quick play spell, and you're always going to have a card in hand to discard because you're going to draw during the standby phase, so it's fine. And then if you have a Nor out and they try to Herald of the Abyss your Nor, you just chain a quick play spells and then summon the second Purrely from deck. And then, because you get to choose to send which Dark Fairy to grave, you can just choose to send the Purrely to grave, because Purrely and Noir are both Dark Fairies, so you can just send this one for Herald to do this, and then like they feel pretty silly trying to because now they still didn't out this Noir that also drew 4 to 6 cards on your standby phase, because it's a healthy mechanic in this game. But yeah, 1 Eep you can run more, I guess, but I don't really think you need more. Yeah, this is I'm not sure I would run any Floodgates, because the Floodgates are like Gozen match and rivalry, which are the deck Floodgates runs are not good in a mirror match. So, and if you're expecting just to play the mirror match a shit ton, or Kashtira, which also doesn't, I mean, Gozen's nice, but like they can usually play through rivalry, and then Exosister is like all light monsters, so Gozen isn't it, and like it's you don't need that shit to beat Exosister. With Purrely, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, and yeah, D-Fisher. Again, if you're expecting to play Purrely, Exosister, and Kashtira, D-Fisher is buttons. Don't play that. The X deck, really fucking standard, because you just remove the link style. You're just playing 2 of everything: 2 happiness, 2 beauty, 2 plump. By the way, plump. This is like the best card to play in the mirror match, because you just yoink your opponent's spells from your grave, and then they can never resolve their Purrely. So it's funny how this card is just randomly insane in the mirror match. But like obviously Plump is insane, delicious as a 1. So yeah, so it's not like you have the choice to go to Plump if you wanted to all the time, but just keep that in mind. Still 1 Noir, 1 Eep Purrely Noir. This is like the least needed one, because you only run 1 per Eep. So like after you use the first one, you don't really need the second one. I guess like Unicorn can rip this, but like you don't really care if this gets ripped when you're going second, because you're probably not making this going second versus cash anyways. You'd rather make one of these to actually break your opponent's board. 2 Noir, 2 Zeus. I don't even think you need 2 Zeus, to be honest, but like you have the space. A Ty-Phon, also not super necessary, but I mean you have the space. Literally, Assemble Nightingale is honestly the best other rank 1 to go into, because if you just set up Eep Purrely Noir with Eep, and then Assemble Nightingale, and then you're drawing 6 to your opponent's standby phase, and then you also Assemble Nightingale so that you guarantee don't die, you're going to win that game, because no matter what they do, they're going to lose on the next turn, because you drew 6 during the standby phase, and then they can have 6 board breakers in their hand, break your entire board. They can't kill you, so it doesn't matter, and then you get all that advantage back. And if they do it wrong, then my friend Purrely and Street also make your Purrely monsters float, so they gotta deal with that shit on top of like the 6 cards you drew off of the Noir, so and the Sleepy Memories. So yeah, yeah, and Princess Sprite. This is if you want a high roll, go ahead, bro. You want to run the Ghost Trick engine here, that's fine too. I just think it's probably better to run more hand traps to help going second in the mirror. I don't know if it's even the best approach to go second in the mirror, but especially with Stray Street, Purrely Stray Street flying around everywhere, maybe you run more copies of Droll, because Droll beats the plays when Purrely goes for Stray Street, but it loses to when they play in the draw phase. I mean, Valor also does lose to that, so maybe Droll is better than Valor this format. I don't, not sure, but anyway, yeah. Be prepared to see this shit. Try to find an anti-Purrely deck. If you play a deck that's literally just as anti-Purrely as possible, you can probably do decently well. But I mean, there's a reason why this is the best deck, because there's not very many decks that are good against Purrely. So, and if there were, people would have found out about them, in the 3 previous Duelist Cups where Purrely was like insane in, but yeah. Now we're gonna have to talk about Kashtira in the NXT's event, and the main deck and all the deck choices aren't too different from standard. There's maybe like a few things you might consider. Like I took away Gammas because there's no Synchros, and versus no Synchros, there's no Omega, which means I can't use Gamma on my turn to, negate a Maxi. Otherwise, my field's gonna be clogged, and I can't summon like Kashtira monsters. So I removed the Gamma package with Omega and stuff like that. But largely, you can take basically the same Kashtira deck that you've been playing in Standard and put it in this event. Now the thing is, maybe this is the event where Shifter is not an auto include, because you have to look at the other decks that might be popular. One, you got the Kashtira mirror match. This card's absolutely useless, the Kashtira mirror match. Another popular deck is Exosisters, which is like a deck where Shifter is even worse against than Kashtira. And then you obviously have blind second stuff, which are still legal, which those decks tend not to really care as much about Shifter as the average deck. And then even Purrely, best deck of the format. Also, Shifter is sometimes not really good against Purrely, especially if you're going first and Purrely is going second. Then they especially don't care as much about getting Shifter because they have the 6th card in hand, and their goal when going second is not to necessarily rely on the Black Cat. They don't have to rely on the Black Cat as much, is because when they go second, they have access to a battle phase, and they can simply eat Purrely happiness and kill you, or at least make a big ass Zeus on top of your on main phase 2. And they can just do that through White Cats, and the White Cat Purrely can just Xyz without ever touching the grave. And yeah, it's Shifter's not the best versus Purrely when you're going first. Going second, it's okay because then they can't do the Black Cat Xyz and the Purrely, so that's okay. But it's not like a spectacular auto win matchup against Purrely. And then we already talked about the other 2 or 3 popular decks in the format. All just completely don't care about Shifter. So there is an argument to just simply take this out and put in more other hand traps, like more copies of Droll. Basically, whatever the hell hand trap you think is the best against Purrely. Because there's no contact seed. They had the foresight to ban contact seed, so you don't have that auto win against Purrely, which it's fine. Contact seed in a Xyz format, probably not the we probably don't want that. So yeah, and then a Rise Heart is is also not auto win by extending that logic, because a lot of this can play more under Shifter, but at least the Rise Heart provides an interruption, and it provides you follow-up and all that stuff. So the main deck, this is one way to play. You could run more Floodgates, I guess, in the main, although again, you're playing in this meta, you're playing decks that don't care as much about the graveyard. So if you're trying to put in macros and defeatures and like Necro Valleys in here, trying to stomp the meta, well, you're not. Those aren't going to be among the best cards to use in this format, anyways. Oh yeah, we have the limited number of good Kashtira monsters, which are Fender, 1 Fender, or 2 Unicorn. I'm playing 3 Rise Heart because I mean the way this deck bricks is when you don't open Kashtira monsters, specifically when you open Birth and Theosis, which you run 6 of, but then you open these, but you don't open Kashtira monster, then you still brick. Whereas if you open Rise Heart with any of these other Kashtira spells, at least you still can do something. Same similar logic with Ogre. Ogre plus Birth is well, it's not that great, but Ogre plus Theosis at least gets you there, and Ogre plus Rise Heart is not that good right now because you don't have access to the Tomahawk play because you can't go into Saryuja because that card's not an Xyz monster. But you can, if you want to add more room for tech options, you could cut copies of Ogre. I wouldn't cut down any other copies of these Kashtira monsters because there's already so few in the main deck as is, especially with just 1 planet, that I wouldn't cut down playable cards any further. And the 1 planet Pathfinder is there as a small world bridge, basically, to make Rise Heart useful into something. Because Rise Heart is one of the few monsters in here that cannot bridge into Unicorn. But at the very least, a small world, you can at least like turn Rise Heart with Pathfinder into a Fender, and like vice versa and stuff like that. And like Pathfinder, I don't want to rely on Pathfinder. Pathfinder seems really, really awful this format when everyone's gonna have like this card is never resolving going second. People are just Purrely has removal for your normal summon. Exosister has plenty of removal for your normal summon. This card is just not. It probably is not it. We might have to search for even more ways, like maybe even put in Desired or something. But yeah, more spells. Rhoda, Extract, Prosperity, 3 Small Worlds. You need some kind of consistency. 3 Theosis, 3 Birth. I don't know why this was never at 3. A Rates Off, and then the 2 Ending Requirements, Big Bang and Prep. There's setups where you can play around board breakers by having prep set up so that with your Rise Heart dies you can banish it either with Scareclaw Clash, or if you have double Rise Heart you can put one Rise Heart over the other Rise Heart. Yes, overlaying the Rise Heart over in the Rise Heart is a legitimate play to play around board breakers. That way you can detach it, banish it, and bring it back with prep, so you always have a rise hard up. Although admittedly that's not as good again this format, because you know, you might be playing against a deck that doesn't care about the macro effect. But yeah, this is I don't know if Cash is even gonna be. I know it's for sure not gonna be the best deck. I'm not sure if it's like even a good choice for that matter, just because its anti-meta properties are muted this event. And the hand traps are in perm maxi Ash because we have to. For some reason, this is a serious event. That's why they gotta leave maxi legal. And Droll is probably there. It's for Purrely. Let's be honest, bro. We gotta. People aren't playing around Droll with Purrely right now. That might change, but like at the end of the day, I don't want to rely on having imperms and Veilers versus Purrely, because Purrely Street is at 3 and they have plenty more ways to get that than to play around Droll. So the extra deck, honestly, most of this stuff does not matter. But so funnily enough, Zeus is at 2 now, so that means if you are playing Kashtira and you have Unicorn out of it, it's gonna be harder to rip both Zeus out of your opponent's extra deck than it was when Zeus was at 1. So at least there's that. There's 3 Arise Heart and 3 Shangri-Ira. These are probably the only Xyz monsters you're gonna go into in like most of your games, and then the rest of the stuff is just random stuff. Ty-Phon, if you have more than one Ty-Phon, I would probably consider running a second Ty-Phon just for Unicorn purposes. Then you have double Big Eye. I put this in here for Unicorn purposes, but admittedly this isn't that important. Sack, literally, I think the only reason you could ever go into this is to out a skill drain, so it's there. This is to make a Zeus by attacking directly. This is to make a big Zeus by attacking over a smaller monster, then you get the extra material. And Dark Arm Dragon. You should probably bump up Dark Arm Dragon too. This is like honestly probably the most important one. Like I honestly think Dark Armed is more important than Big Eye. So like I would probably do something like this actually. But yeah, this is it's Kashtira. There's not really much interesting to talk about with this deck anymore. So yeah. And now we're talking about the Stepsisters. And I actually did drop Shifter from this build. Just on the theory that it wasn't going to be as good this format. Now you can definitely just cut like 2 random hand traps, like cut a Veiler and draw and put in 2 Shifter if you want. There's ain't nothing wrong with that. I just I don't know. I feel like there might be a lot of Kashtira and like Exosister mirror matches where you don't really want to see that card. But yeah, this is I think this is a pretty standard build in my opinion. There's not really much to do with Exosister ratios. I think the deck kind of builds itself for the most part. You have 3 Marfa, 3 Elise. These are the best ones, and by best ones I mean Ellis is there because you literally needed to summon off Marfa, so you have to max out on Ellis just as a Marfa ending requirement. Then you run 2 Stella, 2 Sophia, because these are like the other 2 Exosisters that at least do something. Like this lets you special summon 1 from hand, and S Sophia lets you draw a card. And Irene is literally the worst one, so that's why you only run the 1 copy of it. And so Marfa's not actually the best monster in the deck. The best monster in the deck is actually Aratama, because if one Marfa by itself doesn't actually get you the full combo to Magnifica, as I'm sure some people might think that Marfa's is the best starter, when really Marfa is not a 1-card starter. It is a 2-card starter. If you open Marfa with any other Exosister name, then yeah, you can get the full combo. But Marfa by itself only gets you enough bodies to where you can go into Michaelis and then like search one of your Exosister spell traps, and that's it. You can't actually get to Magnifica with Marfa alone, because if you try to go Marfa into Kaspatel to add, and then you don't have another monster, then that doesn't really get you anywhere. You need the second Exosister name plus Marfa in order to go into Kaspatel to add another Exosister name, and then you get to make Kaspatel plus Michaelis, and then that gets you to your Magnifica. But Aratama just does that by itself, because Aratama, you normal summon it, it gets Sakitama, you normal summon Sakitama, you go into Kaspatel, and Kaspatel adds Marfa, and then Marfa gets you Elise, and then that way you get to Michaelis plus Kaspatel with just the Aratama. And then that gets you Magnifica plus your Exosister's Trap Search. The problem with our Aratama is that it's not an Exosister name, so if you summon Aratama and it gets hand trapped or it gets interrupted, then you really are just kind of stuck then, because then you control a non-Exosister monster, which means that now even if you had Marfa's or other Exosister monster in hand, you can't extend past that. So that's the unfortunate part of Aratama, and why a lot of people don't like maxing out on it. So maybe if you want, like, this is consistency, but also if you don't want to run 3 of this, I understand. Sakitama is the best extender in the deck, and like really only one you can add, because Marfa has this cool line of text that locks you out of specials and summoning any monster besides Exosister monsters. So the only extenders you can really run is Sakitama, because Sakitama is a spirit monster when normal summons itself. It's not a special summon. That's really the only level 4 extender you can run. But yeah, it's okay to help play through hand traps. It's not 100% perfect. This deck is like kind of weak to hand traps if you don't draw an absolute crack hand. And like, as in like, it's really hard to get to Magnifica, your end board Magnifica plus a spell trap surge if you get hand trap. If you get a 1 hand trap resolved on you. So yeah, you're gonna have to settle on like a lot of half boards and like just hoping your Returning or Vadis gets you there, plus your non-engine. Prosperity is at 1, but you gotta run this. You know, there's an argument to where you could even run Extrav, because honestly, you could probably just max out on every Exosister name and just run Extravagance. And, you know, the thing is, Extravagance burning away 2 Michaelis is still painful, because then you can only make Michaelis once to go into Magnifica, and then if something happens, and then you can't have access to another one, like that still hurts. But if you want, like, if you want more consistency, Extravagance is an option, because honestly, this extra deck doesn't, for the most part, does not really matter that much. 3 packs, searches Marfa. Also, keep in mind this has an extender effect. You don't have to add to your hand. If you have the other Exosister monster, if you search the next monster and the other one in its name is either on the field or in the grave, you can just special summon it, so you can use this as an extender too. That's how you go for game shots as well. Like, you can summon extra names and get them on board, and then you know, then you can use like Michaelis to banish cards from your opponent's banish a card from your opponent's grave, or banish a card from your grave if you happen to have. No, sorry. If you use Michaelis to banish a card on your opponent's grave, then the monster desummoned from packs can then trigger, and then you know, that gets you another Xyz, and that's how you go get to push extra damage and stuff like that. You know, niche interactions that come up like turn 3 or 4 when you're trying to go for game after like a grind and stuff like that. And on engine is like 3 Infirm, 3 Max C, 3 Ash, 3 Failer, 3 Growing. Maybe hand traps aren't the best way to go about it. Maybe you could go for a board breaker approach, knowing that you're going to be playing a lot of Exosisters, Kashtira, and Purrely. You might go for a board breaker approach. The thing is, then if you queue in against a blind second deck, you just have, instead of useful non-engine, you just have a bunch of dead board breakers in your hand, and then you're likely going to get OTK'd, because your non-engine is not that, it's basically useless when you're versus a blind second deck, so give or take there. And then 1 Vadis, 2 Returnia. I think this is like the standard trap ratio, although it could be reversed. It could be 2 Vadis, 1 Returnia, based on I wouldn't run any more than this. This is you don't want to see too many traps in your opening hand, especially when you're going second. It's not really useful. And yeah, extra deck, 3 Michaelis is like the only one that's necessary at 3. Every other Exosister monster you can run at 2 copies, like 2 Caspel, 2 Jibrin. Even Magnifica, you only really need 2 Magnifica. I don't know, the third one is like Prosperity Father. I don't know how in any games that you ever go through 3 Magnifica. So yeah, and double Zeus, because I mean, this isn't really important. It's not like this is the deck that makes Zeus. So you can even just put in 1 Zeus just as like unicorn bait, so that they for sure remove a monster that's not really useful to you in the first place. I just happen to have 2 of them, so I put them in here for comedy. And then like Baguska and Xyz, you really don't go into non-Exosister rank 4s that often, but it's, you know, if you are, these are probably the best ones that you would go into. So yeah, there. Yeah, that's right. Get jump scared by Labrynth. This is the first Xyz events that Labrynth has had all its main deck cards to go for. I don't know why, because Konami hit the flu cards. They banned the flu cards. They were like, oh yeah, there's a deck that doesn't really care about an extra mechanic that, you know, we should probably hit and address, because if you do that, you're not going to see something, right? So yeah, they banned Flu, but every Labrynth card is unhit. It's at 3. Like, oh no, I guess there's no, you can't use Dogmatica Punishment. You know, there's no Dogmatic Punishment. Labrynth is unplayable then, right? Well, no. What? Oh, come on. Here's the thing about Labrynth is Labrynth has a good matchup against a bunch of the Xyz decks. Specifically, Cash, Labrynth can, like, honestly, it destroys Cash. It is a terrible matchup for Kashtira. It's also, you know, Exosister can't. I don't see how the hell Exosister wins going first versus Lab, but or going second versus Lab. You know, it is what it is. Even Purrely, like, Daruma Cannon is insane. It also outs Noir if it even gets to that point, which a lot of times it doesn't even get to that point. I don't understand. Like, this isn't even like necessarily the best way to build Labrynth. This is just the most standard way. There's a rollback. I think personally, I think rollback is bait in Labrynth. This card, it requires setup. It's a dead card if you don't draw this with a Labrynth, with a furniture, which, you know, furnitures are kind of hit in Master Duel, and like the pots are also hit in Master Duel, so like you don't have the consistency of pairing up rollback with cards good against. So it's only really nice when you already have a decent enough hand to facilitate it, but like those hands are already decently enough, and like usually are just ones when you go first, and when this deck goes first, that's not really your biggest concern of trying to get a better turn 1, I guess. But then going second, drawing this without a furniture is the complete cheeks. So I'm not just saying this because I don't own rollback. You know, that's not my justification. Trust me. If rollback was good, I would play it like in the deck where it's good in. I just think Arias is even better than rollback. You know, like you can go like a different way to build. You can build an Arias trap heavy build and run more back row. But honestly, I think hand traps are pretty good this format. Especially Gamma. I know Gamma's kind of weird because you literally cannot do anything with the Gamma bodies, but you don't really care about that with Labrynth. You just if you're using it that way, then you're using it to like negate Ash, which is fine. Like if you can negate Ash on your like welcome Labrynth for like your Arias or like your Maxi, it's fine. But mainly this is like the best hand trap going second versus Purrely specifically. Like, doesn't matter if they have Street, doesn't matter if they have Called By. They're probably not playing Gamma, so they can't even cross this out. Like this against Purrely, it negates the Purrely and gets it off the field. That's crazy. They need such a cracked hand to play through a Gamma, which is why I'm still considering running it here. And like also you can, like, if your hand, there are hands where you can use this to protect your Labrynth traps from Ash, but like that's not really that big of a deal. That's not really the reason why you play Gamma. You can drop this and just go play 40 and like play another Baylor. It's honestly, it's fine. Is what it is. Maxed out on furnitures, maxed out on Ariana, 1 Lovely, 2 Lady Labrynth, mainly because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this deck is going to be popular in the Xyz event. The fucking deck that doesn't go into Xyz at all, the fucking Labrynth backrow deck, is going to be popular. And obviously, if you play against any Labrynth mirror matches, you're going to want more than 1 Lady Labrynth. Also, Kashtira is a thing, and Rise Heart banishing or 1-off Lady Labrynth is like, you don't want that happening. So that's why I'm playing 2. Maybe you can cut this to 1 if you have Balls of Steel. And 1 Arias. This isn't like a Arias focused build. This is just like, you know, if you open Ariana plus like one of the trap cards, you can just search Arias and then use Arias to trigger right away. Although you could also do have Coup Clock. So I guess having the Arias in circulation is better than having the Coup Clock. But yeah, and then you can like also, I don't know. The Arias is weird in like a build that's not focused on it. Like it feels like it's just the second version of Coup Clock, but we're only playing 1 Coup Clock, so it's like, did you really need to run 2 copies of the same card? I don't know. Maybe Labrynth experts can help me out. Maybe there's a better, more clean way to build this to be even more anti-Purrely. Yeah, and also skill drain is legal because they banned floodgate monsters like Fossil Dyna. So Fossil Dyna is gone, hallelujah, but skill drain is still legal, so where's the consistency, Konami? You banned this in previous events, you also banned this fucking card in previous events, but you're not here. Enough of that rant. Extra deck. None of this shit matters. You're not running Dogmatic and Punishment. I would not run Dogmatic and Punishment. There's no like really good Xyz even done with Punishment. It's not, in my opinion, it's not worth running that card. But Gigantic Sprite. You can make this with Gamma and Stovey Torby, and then you can summon Maxi, and then you can bounce Maxi with a Big Welcome. Is that ever? You're never gonna do that play. Forget I even said that play. Do not even consider going for that play. That's a meme. Evil Storm Nightmare. These Arianas are darks. You're never gonna go into this. Xyz Knight. Probably never gonna go into this because when do you go into the Xyz Knight when you have less cards than your opponent? Downward for I don't know, the 1 in 20 games you go into Zeus. Heartland Draco does 4K if your opponent's sitting on some annoying shit. I don't know. This doesn't matter. The Zodiac package is probably the one that's gonna come up the most. Like 1 Dryden with Borbor and then 2 Chakanine. So 2 Chakanine, the one that enables you to go to a 6 Imperial Zeus because you can overlay a Chakanine over, because the first Chakanine you're gonna hard make, which means you didn't summon Chakanine over Zodiac monsters. You can also then summon the second Chakanine and just get an extra Imperial. Also, running 2 lets you go into it also lets you go into your Zodiac package twice if you want to make 2 Zeus. I don't know when you would ever do, what kind of game allows you to go into Chakanine twice, but you know, it's Lagutska. Actually pretty decent. Also a Fiend, that's relevant. Dugaris. I don't know, bro. Double Zeus, because why not? Double Ty-Phon. Ty-Phon's probably like the most important one. If you have 3 Ty-Phon, maybe just run 3 Ty-Phon. That way your opponent will never be able to unicorn away all your Ty-Phons. Yeah. Why is this shit legal in an Xyz event, Konami? This is like honestly arguably like a top 3, if not top 2 deck in the fucking Xyz event. And speaking of non-Xyz decks, what the did the Konami like forgore or something? I know like Labrynth was a deck that was traditionally not allowed and just banned in Xyz events. Mikanko, same thing. Also, this isn't like just gonna be Mikanko. This is representing all the blind second decks because all of the blind second staples like this stuff is legal. Like you have all the thrust, all the tactics, you have all the board breakers in the world. You literally have every single board breaker available to you. You even have like, there's no Kaiju's ban, there's no Kaiju Slumber ban, there's like Dark Hole Raigeki, you know, you have Red Reboot, which is honestly insane for going second because you know, Purrely hit the Per-Eve, Exosisters hit their whatever fucking trap they search. Kashtira, okay, this is kind of not good against Kashtira, but you know, Kashtira. I don't think Kashtira is going to be your concern when you're playing a blind second deck with a bunch of Lava Golems and Kaijus, in my opinion. And like, obviously, if you play against Labrynth, yeah, Red Reboot versus a Trap deck, pretty decent. Yeah, I think this is a pretty standard Mikanko ratios. It's Mikanko. That came out the same time as Purrely. I think most people should like know what most of the Mikanko cards do now. It's like 3 Maxi, because it's still fucking legal in this. I can't get over that. 2 Hare, 2 Huli. I don't think you want to run multiple 3 of these, especially if you're running triple Lava Golem. Now, I don't know if Purrely players are going to play around Lava Golem. I don't know if Cash players are going to play around Lava Golem. So maybe if you start seeing people end on single Rise Hard boards and single Purrely Noir boards, maybe you can consider this for something else. I don't know. Yeah. 2 of each kaiju, maybe fit in room for more kaijus, or you can honestly just max out on like 6 kaijus and no lava golems. That might be okay too. 3 Ohime. The 1 Duster and 1 Tactics are for additional triple tactics thrust targets. Maybe consider running Herald of the Abyss as well, although I think that card's not like really that great, but it's alright. If you're playing thrust, I think Herald of the Abyss. Holy shit, I can't type today. Herald of the Abyss is like a decent option as well. Maybe even just run 41, honestly. Or if you don't have red reboots, you know, then you have Herald of the Abyss, and you can just put in another Lightning Storm for more back removal. And or maybe more thrust. Like attack slots are interchangeable. Hidden Armory and then triple rights as a consistency. The extravagance, you definitely, in my opinion, should be running extravagance because you're never gonna go into any of this shit. It's Ty-Phon, and that's probably it. I don't think any of this stuff is coming up. I put it in rank 3s because these are level 3, but at the same time, when the hell are you gonna go into this? Maybe you're more likely to have 2 Ohimes on the field. Then that might be it. I don't know. And the thrust, the Axe of Fools as the Mikanko rivalry target, or like just as a target you can equip to your opponent to like negate their effects. Double-edged sword is legal, so yeah, the entire Mikanko going second. OTK cheese is right there. Fire Dance, I'm not even sure what this card does, to be honest. It's a one-of, but I've never seen this card really used, because like Arabes is what you just go for, and then Mayawashi Dori is like the card that you dump, and then 3 Ceremony. 1 Rivalry, 1 Spirit Walk. You got the suck going on. Pause. Sorry. That's, yeah. I know a lot of people might. There's some people I know that wouldn't mind getting sucked by Mikanko. You know what I'm saying? So sorry. Yeah, that's it's not really much to discuss. There's also if you're playing a build without Lava Golem, you can run Hoka Pillar. So this is like this is Hidden Armory, but except it's a body, so it can enable you to go into more rank 3 plays. I don't know if that's really that worth, to be honest. Yeah, maybe if Lava Golem turns out being bad, this could be your alternative to Hidden Armory. I don't know why the fuck you would have Ashoka Pillars like me. Like, if you still have these for some reason, get some help. I don't know what the hell you're using this for, but yeah, it's Mikanko, bro. It's so yeah, we got a lot of fun and interesting decks playable for this event, and yeah, I hope you enjoy playing against those 5 or so that I showed, because yeah, you're gonna be seeing them a lot. And don't worry, I'm gonna be making a video on budget decks for this event, because this, God knows, like, if you don't own an actual Xyz deck, like this event's gonna feel like ass. Like everyone, it's gonna be like Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb. So I'm gonna at least try to get you guys like something that's cheap and budget, but also can get you to D level 19, so at least you can max out on the gems. I won't promise you that like the budget decks are gonna be good enough to like grind the stage 2 or anything, but hopefully you're not going to be too interested in doing that if you don't have an Xyz deck in the first place. So yeah, stay tuned for that.